Hello and welcome. This brief video will provide information regarding the selection of early adopter schools or pilot schools for the implementation of VTSS. Let's take a minute to review our way of work when we are fully implementing the Virginia Tiered Systems of Supports. Understanding how we will be working will help us to better select schools that need this framework. Our goal is always to improve student outcomes. We begin with culturally valid data to examine our current reality and set goals. We then select evidence-based practices for students in order to meet those goals, and we know that we need systems in place to support staff in implementing the practices. We then re-examine the data to evaluate our progress and determine if we are indeed meeting those intended outcomes. You will have a division team made up of representative members with executive authority to guide this systems change process and the VTSS implementation. Your division team will have ongoing tasks and roles and responsibilities as you engage in this complex work. Some will be immediate. Some tasks are long-term and guided by the phases of implementation. One of the first tasks is to select one or two early adopter schools. Research tells us to start small, not only because change is fragile in the early going stages, but a notable amount of support is needed from the division. And as we start small with the early adopter schools, some of the challenges or initial bumps in the road can be worked out much more readily. So how should we select the early adopters or pilot schools? Well, this is entirely a division decision, as you know your context, but we do have some guidance based on implementation science and our own experiences here in Virginia. You probably would have guessed that the most important consideration is a highly capable principal who is an instructional leader in the building. Occasionally, we've thought that if we picked a principal who needed assistance in developing leadership skills, we would add an extra layer of support early on. But it's almost always best to start with the greatest chance of success, knowing that developing additional skills for building leaders will take place during the implementation phase as more schools are brought on and capacity is developed. So, what will be asked of this leader? We might define a highly capable principal as one who is willing to publicly and continually make statements of support for this way of work and also maintain it as a priority. It'll be necessary to guide decision-making and obtain buy-in from staff. The principal will attend division, regional, and statewide professional learning opportunities, and also, importantly, allocate the time and resources for professional learning in the building. Allow time for input at faculty meetings, make arrangements for travel, substitutes, printing costs, and real time to engage in this work. Finally, it'll always be critical to provide feedback and recognition to the faculty and acknowledge them in this role. Another lesson learned from our friends in implementation science is to start with the willing and able. It's best to start with a school that has a staff with a reasonably positive climate and culture. The school may have some current areas for improvement, or opportunities for growth, as we may call them, but at the same time, it's helpful to have a staff that has demonstrated the ability to improve outcomes. Another consideration is to phase in based on feeder schools. This allows for continuity for students, and it also takes advantage of the existing structures you have around vertical alignment. Another recommendation is that the team selects a school that is not currently introducing several new initiatives or is engaged in comprehensive work such as turnaround or focus or priority, if at all possible. In summary, you've been given a quick overview of the VTSS way of work and one of the starting points for implementation with an early adopter school. Please know that you're always welcome to contact us for assistance.